Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tabletopped.
Tabletopped.
You know, all of us here love games. We love TTRPGs. We love talking about stories, but we also love board games and other nerd shit. And that's why we had one of our co-hosts go away and report on one of the biggest nerd meccas of the year, Gen Con. Franco, you were our agent that went away to see what secrets Gen
Boots
Con
on the ground.
Yeah, you're our boots on the ground this year.
Remote correspondent.
So why don't let's go around, introduce ourselves, see who's on the panel today, and then we're really just going to talk about Gen Con this episode. So if you're into that, feel free to stay for a great conversation. If you're just wanting the TTRPG stuff, we'll probably talk about that in the Gen Con conversation, but otherwise next week we'll be back to normal. So I am Nick, your host. Who else is here with me today?
It's me, Franco, your remote foreign correspondent.
And I'm Shade. I was not given allocations to go to Gen Con, so I would like to talk about that.
Yeah, Shade, we have to have like a admin talk after this. I'm so glad that you brought this up.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's just kind of go through and talk about our sort of previous experience with cons. I've done PAX Unplugged. We were talking about that a little bit off mic, and I have also gone to like some local stuff that's more like game store hosted kind of events. But yeah, PAX Unplugged is by far the biggest sort of convention I've gone to. Shade, have you ever been to anything like that?
I've been to PAX East.
Yeah, PAX East is another big one. That one's a little bit more like video game oriented and comic book oriented too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's Magic, there's card games, all sorts of stuff. It really just it's kind of a catch-all, right?
Yeah.
But PAX Unplugged is much more it's unplugged.
Yeah.
It doesn't have video games.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then Franco, is this your first big con or?
Is it? I think like sort of commercial con. I used to go to like some work cons and stuff like like ebookcraft, which I guess is more like a work conference. And I loved ebookcraft. Rest in peace. It was so fun. And it's just like all industry talk, but everybody that I went with and everybody that was there, because it's such a small niche part of the publishing industry, that everybody was just like a delight to hang out with. And then like everybody that was on panels and doing talks and stuff would, everybody would just be like, hey, what's up? Let's talk after this. And then everyone's just hanging out. So that's really fun. But
so it sounds like this though was like your first sort of like gaming oriented.
Really, it was. I think it was actually my first like gaming con, because I'd been to, there's MICE, which is the MICE Expo in it's at Lesley University at Porter Square. I don't know if it still goes on. Oh my God, what am I talking about? I've been to BossCon like a bunch of times. BossCon it's primarily like a science fiction fantasy writing convention, but they do have games there, although I've never played in any. I'm mostly there for like the books and the stories and the panels and the talks and stuff like that, which are really great. But I'll have to go next time, especially now that I'm working for literary magazines again.
Yeah.
Which is funny because at Gen Con, I realized like I can write off the whole trip because all of it was not just for Tabletopped, right? But like also, and using this for this episode. But I also like was able to do some work stuff at Gen Con to like, because I met one of my editors there, and like we had lunch and then we walked around the artist floor to kind of like talk to artists and stuff for like the covers and stuff like that. That was really fun. So yeah, it was a great experience. I really loved it. I'm glad I did it. And I'm going to be talking about, just so that I'm organized here. And Shade keeps shaking his head and I can't wait to find out why.
I'm just always, I'm shaking my head because I'm just like, you and I are so different. I'm very impressed by you because you always find a way to like, yeah, I can write this off. I can do this or that. And meanwhile, I can't walk. If I literally had someone hand me $100 last night for a job well done on something I was doing. And I've already lost half of that because someone on the street asked me if I could help them with something. It's like,
I mean, that's really sweet,
But like, I can't. I am terrible about that kind of stuff.
This is the thing, though, that is like pretty crazy, especially for
my
like
tax situation this year is going to be really hard. So I'm really looking for
You're
those.
like, I need whatever I can get.
I am impressed. That's all I'm trying to say.
I have 4 jobs right now, and I need some write-offs. I need some wins.
That is awesome that you're doing that.
One of the things that I think is like so cool about these cons that I didn't expect when I went to Unplugged was that like you really do see a ton of publishers, like indie publishers, that are either looking for wide release or who have wide release in sort of the indie circuit and are being repped by something like Indie Press or one of the other TTRPG like Kobold Press and stuff like that. But Franco, you were there just sort of to explore all of the different things. If somebody was like, what is Gen Con? Like if you were trying to just go from the beginning, trying to explain to someone like what they could do there, what is shown off there, and what kind of person might like to go there, what would you say for Gen Con?
I would say that Gen Con is very big. There's a bunch of stuff that happens at it. There's a bunch of things that I want to touch on. And I think all of those things will kind of outline like what you can do there. You can see like basically all the biggest companies that do stuff. Like you can see like there's like Critical Role people. There's so many things that I missed because it's so big. There are 70,000 people that go to this conference. Eesh. It takes up the entire Indianapolis Convention Center and the Lucas Oil Football Stadium, which is next to it. And then 2 hotels on either side of the convention center. It is a lot of people. I have anxiety, but I think I don't have. I don't think I have the level of anxiety where I would. I don't get a lot of anxiety. I don't like get anxiety attacks or anything like that. But I do have a lot of sort of like I get overwhelmed kind of easily. By certain things, or if I'm like around people, sometimes I get like really anxious, like if I'm like around like a ton of people all at once. But in this convention, weirdly enough, I didn't feel too annoyed. Like even by Sunday, like I was there for all 4 days. Even by the last day, I was still kind of like, yep, we're just in traffic and I'm just moving along. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of meditation recently. So maybe that's part of it. And then we were like looking for areas too, where we were like, okay, let's go somewhere different right now. Yeah. I went with my friend, Andy, a friend of the podcast. So yeah, to outline, as far as like that's sort of the scope of it. Yeah. There's all kinds of, and I think what's also really fun about conventions is you can see like everybody's just doing what they do. And I love that. Like, I think it's really pleasant, because it's like everybody's a nerd and everybody's who they are. You see a lot of
unapologetically so. Yeah. Some people are walking around in like, a custom like built furries, like cosplay thing. There's designers who are just like out trying to get notes like in the middle of a convention. Yeah. There's like so much stuff happening.
Yeah. There's like kids and there's like, like trans folks and queer folks and stuff too. And it's just like really nice to see everybody just being themselves and being very like open. It was a very warm, fuzzy feeling I had at some point where I was just like, yeah, everybody just loves this shit. And I love that everybody loves it. And we're all excited.
And Franco, how often would you say you actually allow yourself to get fuzzy feelings?
All the time. I'm very sentimental. I'm exceedingly sentimental.
What about you, Shade? You were about to say something.
How often do you get sentimental, Shade?
Me? Yeah. I mean, I would say pretty consistently. Yeah. I'm a.
We're all big feelers.
Yeah. I'm very empathic, I think. But
yeah, this guy gave away $50.
But no, I was gonna say just to one of the things that, again, I've wanted to go there my whole life. I grew up literally an hour outside of Indianapolis. I've never had the opportunity, but it's been going on since like the mid 60s. Yeah. Actually, I think it might be like literally mid 65.
Yeah, I read the book about like the origins of D&D and how like Gary Gygax like started as like a gaming convention in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. That's why it's called Gen Con.
Is that why? I thought it was like General Con, because it just kind of includes so many different things.
No, it stands for Geneva, which is kind of like also a joke because it was like a wargaming thing. And like the very first Gen Con was just like a bunch of people crashing at Gary's house and stuff, and then like going to like some little place. And there's also another con called Gary Con, which continues to take place at at the old Geneva Convention place.
Yeah.
That is like much smaller, more low scale, and if you like the type of shit that I like OSR, like but in the good way, kind of stuff, but probably also in the bad way. And then like big war game stuff like that, like that's also a good con to go to. Just harder to get to, I assume. When you're going to like Geneva, Wisconsin.
Yeah, because Gen Con predates and I guess Gary Con by legacy predates D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. Because like one thing that one of the reasons why it's been on my radar too, other than like everybody goes to it, is that it is a huge like wargaming presence, like like 40K and all of those kind of like.
Nick, So let me do I'll do the outline.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to do the outline so that I can stay on task. And so that people can know what to expect in this episode in case this is like something that they're not super interested in.
Yeah.
But so I was able to play in 2 TTRPG games that I got tickets for ahead of time. I did a bunch of demos of different games. Me and Andy were able to play a bunch of games as well. I bought way too much stuff. I would say maybe like hundreds of dollars worth of like books and games and stuff like that. I only bought one game actually.
Ooh.
And I saw a bunch of artists, which was great. I went by this one artist booth like a bunch of times. And then I also want to talk about the fact that I met a couple of interesting people too, like people that I had just known from the internet. And I also, after the con, I went to a lake house with some other friends who live in Indy, and they didn't get to go to the con. They just, they forgot. They live there and they keep forgetting to go. similar to Shade.
I gotta know what lake. I gotta know what lake.
Oh shit! I wish I could remember what the lake was.
They're like, it's sort of like near to do Albany. Something. Maybe it's because 70,000 people have come into the city for some reason.
Yeah,
I think it's sort of near Albany or something. I should ask them.
No worries.
But Shade, and that reminds. So at that lake house, I played an additional 7 games one of the days, and so with that group of friends, we played 13 unique games.
Nice.
So in addition to all the stuff that I'd been doing at Gen Con, we also just played a shit ton of games, and then I ran a game for a TTRPG for my 2 friends who had never played any game like this before, and their 9-year-old son who had also never played anything like this before.
Cool.
And that was fun, and I want to talk about that experience too.
Yeah. So why don't we start at the beginning?
Yeah, so so at the airport, I saw Matt Mercer and a bunch of the other Critical Role people, which I think I mentioned in the chat when it happened. So that was interesting. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about Critical Role at all, and so like to me, I was just like, oh, it's Matt Mercer, the one that all the YouTubers I watch say is ruining D&D or whatever, and I'm like, well, I mean, surely that's not the case. Like, obviously, like tongue in cheek, obviously, right? Where they're just like, oh,
and
the
then
Matt Mercer
effect.
effect.
Open up his bag in the airport, take out a copy of D&D, and spit on it.
Yeah, it's like Daggerheart forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fine. I have no beef with those people.
Daggerheart looks really cool too.
It does, yeah. I'm
interested in playing it.
I'm interested in trying it out. I did not try it out at this convention. There was opportunities to though. If you're interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, there's a ton of like pickup games too. But anyway, on the first day, Andy and I had tickets for a game that was at the football stadium. And so we played D&D on the sidelines of this football stadium, which is crazy. The stadium also had like huge, like half of the area was devoted to diplomacy, and then a few other war games like minis, war games and stuff. And then the other half, Shade, was devoted to Magic the Gathering.
Damn straight it was.
Yeah, and that was not the only place where you could play Magic the Gathering.
Of course not.
And
there's many formats.
Yeah. So I played a game of Liminal Horror, which is it's based on Cairn. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the people at the table, and I had enough fun. That's all I'll say about that.
Would you say that like that was like whatever gripes you had was more system or more like the session that was being run, or was it like, is that worth like picking up and checking out if people are interested in that sort of thing?
Liminal horror seems really cool. I don't think the experience that I had was a typical liminal horror experience. The game was mostly like kind of like a zombie apocalypse type of thing, which is like not what I was really expecting. Because liminal horror is more like you want to do like an X-Files thing, or you're trapped in there's one module called the mall, where you're just like trapped at the mall. And then there's like one that is kind of based on the video game Control, where you're like a bureaucrat, you're working in an office building, and it's like really weird and like trans-dimensional and stuff like that.
The work is mysterious and important.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you could play in like the Severance building or something like that. That is the type of vibe, like, you know, like liminal spaces and stuff like that. That is not the experience that I had.
Sometime.
Yeah.
What game is that?
Delta Green, I think.
Yeah, I really want to play Delta Green. It's been coming up a lot lately where people have been talking about Delta Green. So I'm super
Shane
into
and
playing
I,
that.
like had a one-shot run from us in Delta Green. And I think that you would like it too, because it's like all like D100 system, and it's like, but we'll talk about it another time. Anyway, keep going to that.
I would just say that and I think the rules were also run in a weird way, because the DM had done like contested roles, which is like not a thing in Into the Odd systems. And then it was like a weird way of adjudicating them.
This is something that I want to kind of talk about just a little bit, because Mac ran into this last year at Unplugged 2, where he was playing a system and was like, this system is busted. Like, it's not working. It doesn't work as a TTRPG system. And then he like read through the rules after his session was run for him. And he was like, oh, the GM didn't understand all the rules. And like, this is more just like for a warning for folks. If you ever go to a con and you like sit down at a TTRPG, you know, session, and it just is like feels really bad, like mechanically, most likely because a lot of those people running those games are volunteers and they just kind of jump on, you know, whenever. Like, they might not have a full understanding of the rules. So if you're really interested in a system, you try it out and it's just like it does not function at the playtest, I would suggest like still picking it up and giving it a read, because a lot of the time there's just like one or two kind of finicky rules that can kind of throw the whole session off.
I was just gonna say, that's not to excuse, like, occasionally there are just going to be systems out there that are like,
just gonna be dead.
The system is but yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've run volunteer games, and I know, you know, D&D like the back of my hand, and there are still times where I'm like, oh shit, how do I do this in that moment?
Right.
I think I don't really want to say anything bad about the guy. He was perfectly nice, but I just it didn't really, it wasn't what I was looking for, and I think it wasn't what I expected.
Was that one of the ticketed ones that you sat down for?
That was one of the ticketed ones. That was in the morning. And then I'll stop saying things, so I don't want it to be identifiable. But yeah, so then we hit the floor. The next game that we played, I'll just kind of go over the games, I guess. The only other TTRPG that we played was Pirate Borg. And that was super fun. Again, I think like the Merc Borg systems are not something that I'm particularly interested in, but it was super fun. And I think it was also like very much like, I think the first time I was like in a space where I was like, oh, this is like my community. Like, this is like my brand of like D&D. And like, we were like, after the thing, I like was talking to the GM about like, you know, like Into the Odd and Cairn and Mythic Bastion Land and stuff like that. And we were like, yeah. And actually at one point in the game too, I was like, I was the weakest character. Like everybody else had like, I think I wanted to lay like 8 to 14 hit points. And this is just from the base Pirate Borg system, which is like actually pretty beefy. Yeah. For like a first level set of characters, it wasn't like sort of modified in any way. Yeah. But my character had 2 hit points. And I think at one point I lost one of my hit points, and I had to use like my luck token thing or whatever the equivalent. I think it's called Devil's Luck in Pirate Borg, but the Borgs have like a
omens, I think. And
and I had one of I think I only had one of those 2, and so then I was able to like avoid some damage, and I only had 1 point left, and I was like, well, I'm getting ready to roll up my next character. And I think at some point I was like, "That's the old school, baby," which is a quote from Between Two Cairns that one of the hosts says all the time. It's like, "That's the old school, baby." Like, yeah, like fuck me up, like I'm ready to die.
Did you feel like the table rallied around you and they're like, "We have a baby"?
I mean, not especially, you know, it was just like a little, like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to try to like, yeah, we were all working together to like achieve our objectives, but it was very much like the style that I expected and wanted. Yeah. You know, like we ran into like another gang of pirates that was working for like at cross purposes with us. And then we killed the leader of their expedition that had hired them. And we were like, hey, let's split the money. There's no need to fight. And they're like, and DM was like, absolutely. Of course they would say this. And like, yes, naturalistic stuff. Like, this is what people would do, stuff like that. I'm like, yes, like, finally. Yeah. I played in a 5e game recently, like a one shot, and like, that is not how it was run. You know, where it was like, oh, these turtles are going to fight to the death. And like this bandit, both of his friends have died. And now he's going to keep fighting you until the very last minute when he runs away. And it's like, please don't. Like, just like, come on, guys. Like, just treat them like regular people. It makes fights go faster, too. Like, I don't know. That's my soapbox. I'll get off of it now.
No, it's an accurate soapbox, and we could spend forever just punching that.
I think we already have.
Yeah, we have, you know, but we could continue to do it.
Yeah.
The art shows were great. A lot of Magic the Gathering artists, which is always cool to see. Like, they're
official artists or like fan artists. That's really cool.
They're all incredible.
But you're also going to find... I'm sure people who will proxy cards for you. So like they'll do at a lot of these conventions, you'll find an artist who, you know, their whole thing is, okay, I'm an artist. Maybe they've worked for Magic, maybe they haven't. But what they'll do is they'll like repaint a card for you in your style. And
I've also seen the ones where they glue or epoxy a bunch of cards together of the same card, and then they use a scalpel to basically make a 3D version of that card for you. It's very cool.
I see. Yeah,
the things people do with these cardboard little treasures is wonderful.
The displays for 40K were out of control, Nick. Like, you would have loved that shit.
Yeah, they take over that convention because that's when they do it's like Adepticon and Gen Con are when they do their big announcements for releases for the next year. So I bet it was fucking crazy.
They had some crazy shit. I went to the MIT press booth and I got copies of The Elusive Shift, which is about I think this is an interesting book because I watched the Matt Colville video about it, and he was sort of talking about how like a lot of the arguments that we still have in D&D today are still arguments that were had like in the 70s when the game first came out.
Interesting.
And also like there are some arguments that have kind of fallen to the wayside that people don't really talk about anymore, like should the players know the rules was one original argument, which is like not something that people talk about anymore. Yeah. But it's like it's interesting to see like what stuck together. Yeah. So that's that book.
I might need to borrow that from you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, because I have this other book to read too, so you can probably borrow it soon. This is Playing at the World, which is the second volume of Playing at the World. I think it was slightly cheaper to get them at the convention than it was to like order them from the internet or to.
That's cool.
Not that I would get them from Amazon because I'm trying to boycott Amazon. It's really hard. Yeah. And then the other thing that I got was Monstrous. I love
that
this.
Looks so good.
I was excited to get this because, and unfortunately I couldn't find the artist, because it's by Kyle Latino and another writer, Kenny Wright, who passed away. But Kyle Latino, I'm a big fan of his. He does Map Crow, which is like a map drawing. Kenny Webb was the designer. And Kyle Latino, his channel is Map Crow, and I'm a big like map freak. And he just taught me a lot of things about like map pervert. And I learned a lot of stuff from his channel, and so I was like, I might send him a message or something and be like, hey, I saw your book, and I was excited to get it. But it's a really cool book. It basically shows you how to make kind of like boss monsters and like give them special powers, like kind of filling in the blanks of like different things of like based on their style. There's a free download preview for the Lich, which is a pretty cool one that they have in there, and they have some examples too of using the same system.
Cool.
The other book that I got that I was really excited to get
is
Mythic Bastionlands. Yeah, I was actually looking around the convention for it too because I went to the Ennies booth, the award show, and they had a bunch of the books on display. And I know this from previous experience, having gone to I think AWP, and I think I saw a book there. And I was like, oh, I want to buy this book. And they're like, this is just for the award show, so we're actually not selling these. And I'm like, oh, okay. Where do I buy this book? And I was like, I don't know.
I will give you legal money.
It's legal like, tender. No, you can't. Here's a book, and I can't sell it to you. And I'm like, oh, this isn't.
Can I ask, because like this is, at this point you have played a TTRPG, maybe two, and you're walking around looking at all these books and everything. You're kind of getting a sense of the convention floor. Did you get a sense of whether it was like, I feel like it kind of waxes and wanes with like the economic climate and other stuff that's happening. Did you feel like there was like a really strong independent presence, or was it mostly big publishers or game designers that like were under a publishing house? Or was there like a lot of individuals sort of, hawking their goods, I guess? There
were a few like indie people. Where I got Mythic Bastionland actually was like a little corner that was just for me. Because at the Mythic Bastionland, where I found that was at 1XP Press, 1.x, I forget what it's called. But I also bought Munkow's Deluge at the Drizzle Distillery, which looks pretty fun.
Is that an adventure?
This is an adventure. He's the writer along with Zedek Zoo of 1,000 Islands and Reach of the Roach God, which are really hard to find now because their partnership dissolved, unfortunately. Oh. And it's the type of thing where you're like, okay, I think this is like just a straight up disagreement. I don't think either of these people are like bad people. It's just like they had a difficult falling out.
Yeah.
But at the booth, Chris McDowell, the creator of Mythic Bastionland and Into the Odd, signed my copy of Mythic Bastionland, which was really exciting, because so that was cool. And I talked to him for a bit. I also ran into, at the same time, there was another blogger there. Explorer's Design is his blog. And I think he overheard me talking about me being a book designer. And then we just talked about book design because he's also like a designer. And so we just like chatted for a bit, and that was cool. But yeah, this booth had a lot of the stuff that I had seen like on the internet and stuff, like a lot of like the OSR stuff. But there were other corners too. And a lot of indie stuff too. Like I found this little tiny pamphlet thingy.
Precious Things.
It's called Precious Things.
So this is something that
I saw the stickers.
I found at Unplugged as well, where there are like full booths that had like almost zines, but they're like very small and they were like full games. And I was like, this is so cool. Like wallet-sized games kind of thing.
Yeah. It was really cool because I just saw the stickers and I was like, I want these stickers. And they were like, hey, if you get the game, the stickers are free. And it was actually the same price. So it was kind of like, well, yeah, I'll get the game. Sure, I'll check it out. And it's just like this little tiny game it's a one-page RPG about tiny dragons building cozy hoards.
Love that.
Aww.
Yeah, so there were definitely like a presence of different things. There was a few like Japanese game companies too, and that's where I found the Final Fantasy 14 online TTRPG.
Yeah, man,
that's amazing.
So this is just like a little rule book. I got it for free. They were just giving these ones out.
Oh yeah.
The amount of free stuff you can walk out of a convention with is insane.
I got like 3 things. I also got a ton of ribbons. I think I showed you guys on the because you can affix these ribbons to your badge and they are fun. I also got these adventures from Shadow Dark, these like little one-page adventures.
Oh, fun.
So cool.
From Arcane Library, the Shadow Dark publisher. Didn't see Kelsey D on there, unfortunately, but I think a lot of people from like the scene were at the Ennies and stuff, and so like I just didn't attend that. I don't even know if you needed a ticket or whatever, but yeah, I think a lot of people were there that I just didn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we kind of glimpsed Joe Manganiello around the conference too.
That's cool.
And then definitely there's like a little area where people will do like video streams. Mm-hmm. And I saw somebody that I just recognized from like some YouTuber that I had seen some YouTube video of his.
Yeah.
Like around, and I was like, oh yeah.
So
and then I went to the Obojima booth. You guys know Obojima, the sort of Miyazaki inspired 5e supplement. They had a really beautiful booth with a lot of cool art. I spent way too much money there. Got out of hand. All their stuff was just cute, and I didn't buy a single rule set.
Porco Rosso, like the D&D screen. Yeah,
Our group does own the rules.
Yeah, we do have it. I know that, but I was just I just got this stuff because it was cute, even though I didn't need to buy the rule set, but
but it's a cool rule set.
Yeah, it's neat. I've taken a look at some of the creatures and stuff at least, and like the modifications that they made to magic systems and stuff. So it's worth checking out.
Was there also like a booth or a system or something that was attracting a lot of attention from the convention goers that you noticed? Like sometimes I feel like
hard to notice.
Yeah, like it's interesting, but sometimes it's like, oh, everyone is surrounding this one booth for like a full day, and then it just doesn't have anything left afterwards. That kind of thing.
They picked it clean.
Yeah.
This I don't know. It was it was so big, but there were definitely like a lot of. So the thing you were talking about earlier about like the indie presence versus like the corporate presence. Do you guys know what Asmodee is?
Yes.
I had never heard of them, and then I realized that they bought like everything. They have licenses for everything. They had Star Wars. We played the skirmish game for Star Wars. Also we played the Fallout skirmisher, which was actually quite fun.
By skirmish, are you talking about Star Wars?
Like a little minis skirmish.
And it's it's much more about positioning and multi levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's like little units on terrain and stuff
Armando
like that.
Has it, and it's really good.
Yeah, it didn't hit me quite right. I think just because I'm not used to that type of game. I think the Fallout game was a little bit easier to understand for me.
Yeah.
What's Sorry, I gotta ask.
But I think the Fallout thing isn't. I think Fallout was Modifius. Just FYI.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask more about the Fallout one just because Rio is not here. I gotta represent the Fallout fans.
Of course.
So like anything. What was that like when you say it's a skirmisher? Because we tried the Fallout TTRPG.
Yeah.
Was it the same system? And
super different.
Super different. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like you have these characters, they have these stats, which was cool, and then you like roll your dice based on which stat that you use.
Yeah.
And you roll under a number. Like if your stat is like 6 or something like that, you're trying to get 6s or below on your hits. And then I think
is it a dice pool? Yeah,
it's like a dice pool. It was pretty fun. It was easier to understand than the Star Wars one, which had like, sort of like the custom dice and stuff like that. And then also like I think the sort of the hit point thing was a little bit easier to track.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't played a lot of skirmishers, but I'm theoretically interested in them.
I could see why the Star Wars one didn't like kind of glanced off you, because that one, a skirmisher is usually about action economy control and trying to like limit your opponent's ability to use all of their characters' actions and to preferably take them off the board. The Star Wars skirmisher is all about positioning and like, I'm going to use my force powers, but only because I want to like blow this person off of the building so that it takes them 2 turns to get back to the ladder or whatever, because like it's all about staying on certain objective points and everything. So you and I can give that another try if you're interested, and I'll see if we can make it make more sense. But
okay. But yeah, Asmodee has also, they have like Lord of the Rings, they have Star Wars.
They literally, like you said, they went through a purchasing spree where they bought like most of the high end. Yeah.
They bought Zeman Games, which has like Carcassonne, which was like, that's crazy. They have Carcassonne
I think Fantasy Flight like escaped as a company, like they survived as a separate independent entity, but they bought most of Fantasy Flight stuff too. Like they took, I think they took the Arkham card game, and they also took X-Wing, and they took all of the skirmish games you're talking about. Like I feel like they're making a big push to try to be like the next big holder of game IP. So
and what's interesting too is like a lot of the games that we demoed with them were they felt like other games that I'd already. So like there was a Middle Earth game that was basically just Seven Wonders Duel. Which was also like a Zeman Games game, and it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then one of them was like a Middle Earth game, but it was in the style of like Pandemic.
Yeah.
And so
I feel like
it was weird.
I feel like the reskinning is going to be like super popular.
They were very upfront about that too. They were the ones that said like, "Hey, have you played Pandemic? This is like Middle Earth, but the pandemic is the shadow of Mordor." You know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I get that more now. I
think so, like mechanically,
Urukai, the little the like cubes
something
that
like
you put around.
So yeah, that was interesting. We played a few games there. They also do the Fellowship of the Ring trick taking game, which is probably one of
that you would like.
Yeah, that's a very fun game. But I played a few trick taking games this con. The very last thing that I purchased was finally a board game because everything else has been books. It's called Kabuki Tricks, and it was like literally the last booth that I went to. It was like the con was closing down, and I did a demo, and yeah, it's a cool trick taking game, and basically all the trump suits are like in order, and then you can rearrange them during play, which adds a lot of like strategic additions. And it was like $15, and I was like, this is fun. My friends like trick taking games. I like trick taking games. Let's go.
Did you see any big board games? Like one of my other favorite parts of cons is like going to see the
like mega games.
Yeah, like the mega games that you're never gonna buy for yourself, but it's like fun to like sit down and play something with them. Yeah,
absolutely. There's definitely a few of those. Nothing that really stood out. I think the next time I go, I will try to do a lot more of the demos and stuff, which is like what Andy said. Like, yeah, you usually just want to do a bunch of the demos.
You really kind of have to pick what you're into. Like when I went to Unplugged, I was like, I am into miniatures and panels this year, and so I just did like a bunch of painting panels. I did a couple game design panels, and then I saw like I saw the booths, and I did a couple things out there, but that took 3 days. So
yeah, I think my big activity was shopping.
Yeah. Gotta spend this money.
Yeah, but honestly, that was fun for me too, because you could go to the booths and you talk. I mean, like there was a lot of booths where I didn't really buy anything, and I just had like a very good conversation with like some of the people, because we're all the same.
Yeah.
Also ran into like 3 people that I know.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Who were like working booths, and I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen you in like 10 years. So that was cool.
So we've got sort of like the certain places you bought tickets for. We sort of got the general feel of the convention floor. Another thing on your little outline that you wanted to hit was that you GM'd some games for some folks that had never played before.
Yes.
How was that?
It was very fun. I ran a classic module. Also I played a lot of euchre. We went to this lake house, and like it was my friend's grandma's lake house, and apparently this woman who is 87 years old loves euchre. And so she was just delighted that we wanted to play euchre like basically all weekend. Like that's kind of all we did with her. And we didn't go swimming one time.
Sounds like my kind of experience.
We just played games. And Shade, I wanted to ask you real quick. Do you know Sweet Corn Charlie's?
I don't know that I know Sweet Corn Charlie's. I'm sorry.
Okay. It was like a really big thing while I was there.
I mean,
they were like, they have the best corn, and then there was like another corn competitor that my friend bought some corn from, and like the grandma was like,
someone's got to stick it to big corn.
Yeah, it is big corn. So the game, I played the classic module. I ran the classic module Winter's Daughter for them, which is written for Old School Essentials long ago, and now for Dolmenwood. I think I ran the Dolmenwood version because I backed that Kickstarter, and tariffs and shit, and I haven't gotten the books yet, but they'll get there. I believe in them. So yeah, I ran that for them. Yeah, so it was 2 people that had never played D&D before, and their 9-year-old son, and they still haven't played D&D because I ran Karen, obviously.
They're like, we really want to try this D&D thing, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah.
Did you? I want to clarify. Did you run in Karen as a system, or did you run it like a Karen? Okay, great. Just want to clarify.
I ran the system. I ran it for Karen. There's a not a hack. What is it called? A
port.
A port of it. Yeah. There's like, it's like literally a half a sheet port for saying like, these are the stats. This is what you know, these are the stats for the monsters that are in this dungeon. Run everything else as normal. Everything fits.
What was the best and worst thing about running for a group of people that like had no experience in this at all?
I think the worst thing was maybe just I think the worst thing was none of it. I don't think anything was terribly bad about it. I think there was like a few conventions that they didn't really go with. One of them, the dad of the group. There was a dad and a mom and a child and the son. Dad, mom, son. And the dad was getting kind of impatient, and so he just started going farther along into the dungeon, like without the rest of the group. And I was like, oh, okay, so so like you've split the party. Well, it actually ended up getting the other two killed.
No, that'll do it.
That'll also do it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, the worst thing I think was that I could have just, you know, it would have been the type of thing where, you know, I was like, hey, like, keeping the team together is usually a good idea, but I didn't want to like tell them what to do very much.
Yeah.
But it's also just like a nicer way to play too, because then you're just kind of like, oh, we're all together, let's stick together. But not really, but also like not a lot of dangerous stuff had happened.
Yeah.
Up to that point. But they, what I liked the most was how intuitive a lot of things are when you really think about it. Like everything's very like natural. And I mean, obviously like a lot of things come from like video game language too. Like
It's true.
Like the son was sort of like going around the room and saying like, okay, I'm going to like search the walls and like I'm looking for stuff or whatever. And I was like, you don't find anything. And then, but at a certain point when he did it a few more times, I was like, you didn't find anything, but honestly, good instinct. And then he was like, okay, this means something. And I was like, oh, it's not what I meant. I was like, yeah, it's not really what I meant. It was more just like, yeah. So the son was like looking around and stuff. And then at a certain point, he did find a secret door, and he was like, I knew it. It's like, I knew that's what you meant. And I was like, I mean, that's not really what I meant, but yeah, like it's a good idea. Like you do want to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
And they were pretty conscientious about like a lot of the sort. That's why I wanted to run like a dungeon for them rather than like something more complicated. Because you know, there's a lot more. It's easier for him to learn how to do decision making in a TTRPG when you have like the guardrails of the four walls and the ceiling and the floor, and the doors and stuff. And so I think that was effective. But yeah, there was a certain point, and this isn't too big of a spoiler for the module. But like they went over to this coffin, where this ghost was like, hey, will you return this ring to my beloved? And then and they were like, okay, sure. And then the son was like, all right, I'm gonna grab the ring, it's in the coffin. And he's like, I'm gonna use my axe and chop up the coffin, grab the ring, and then set everything on fire. Set like the coffin and everything in it on fire. And I was like, oh, okay. Are you sure you want to?
Shit.
Are you sure you want to do that? And he was like, yeah, totally. And I was like, okay. The ghost attacks both of you, and then he killed them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really funny.
And I mean, he wasn't sore about it. It was just kind of, he was like laughing, and he was like, yeah, this is funny. I was like,
this is what I want.
This is what I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, sure. I'm gonna set this coffin on fire after we accepted this. It's like very mixed messages here you're sending to this guy. But then they got resurrected at the end when they delivered the ring and stuff. So that was fine. Nice. But it was very fun. Like he was excited about it, and I think they want to like, you know, get him to play other games and stuff too. I thought Karen was an easier thing to dip their feet into rather than like 5e and being like, okay, this is a proficiency bonus.
What's your expertise?
Yeah. And I've never run Old School Essentials before, so I didn't want to start with that either.
Yeah, sure.
So I was like, yeah, this is easy. You know, 3 stats, roll under, HP, equipment. Done. That's D&D. That's the old school, baby.
So what's the Franco highlight, low light, favorite part of the con kind of thing before we kind of wrap up? And any suggestions if people are inspired to go next year?
I think the low light was probably how disorganized I felt. Like I wish I had planned ahead a little bit better. Done a lot more demoing and stuff. I'll give a special also mention to Ren Attack, which was the best booth I went to. I went to her booth like 5 or 6 times, because they're like a really great artist, like very cozy vibes, and I bought some stuff from them, and yeah, they were just really good and very friendly, and we talked to them at the end of the con too as everything was closing down. It was like, yeah, I really like your booth and all that stuff. So that was a very pleasant time, and they were just like really good. So check them out. Ran Attack. If you
yes,
like
I
cozy
do
stuff.
know. Sorry, I was like, I know this name, and yeah, you also did share some of this in our Discord.
Yeah. So they were very cool. And then also, I guess the second shout out, I'll shout out the editor, Cherie Thomas. Yeah. Cherie Thomas.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I got. I forgot her last name sometimes. Cherie Thomas, who I'm working with, she's a really great author. She did a novelization of the Black Panther.
Oh, cool.
Which is cool. But yeah, has done a lot of other work and stuff too. So check out her books and check out the magazine of fantasy and science fiction when it comes back out soon. That's my plug. And I think my highlight for the whole thing was probably talking to Chris McDowell and to Explorers Design. Like when I went to that booth, I was kind of like, oh shit. Like I feel like every time I talked to somebody who was like in the same, like in the OSR scene and stuff, it was just like very exciting to be able to like talk to people who do this stuff that I like a lot in person, and be able to like kind of geek out about like this common this niche within a niche that we all like, you know, that we all kind of glom onto more than other types of TTRPG philosophies, you know. So
Mac always says that like the conventions like this are his like sort of paradisal sort of area in that he can actually achieve during the world, because he is just like, everyone there likes the same things as you do. They are interested, if not in playing games with you, they're interested in talking about games with you. Like it's just like you, no matter where you go, you can kind of do the thing you love to do.
That's the benefit of every convention, you know. You're just we saw some grognards there too. Like we like had some, we were like at a table with them and stuff too. They like came over to Andy while he was after he got a drink, and then I met up with them, and I was like, oh, they were just like really friendly, and they were very into 5e too, which I think is always fun to see.
Grognards into 5e?
I think a lot of grognards are into 5e. They're just like, yeah, I'm playing D&D, whatever the next rule set is, I'm going to play that. And they picked up up this other they picked up this book called, I think it was called like Middle-Aged Monstrosities or something like that. And it was like a parody of the Monster Manual, the Advanced D&D Monster Manual, but it was all like
geriatric different beholders, and stuff like that.
Well, it was like the Displacer Beast, but he's holding your keys and wallet because you can't find them. Is a dragon shooting a death ray into your sciatica, stuff like that. And then we went to that booth, and Andy had said something like, it's like, oh, this is that module that those old guys were talking about. And the guys were like breaking down the booth and stuff too. And then they were like, old guys. But then we chatted with them for a while, and it was, they were being funny. And we were like, oh, sorry, that's not what we meant. You know what I meant?
Like a big brother.
Yeah. I love a grognard. You know, they're just, you know, they're just, you know, if they're nice, if they're chill.
Yeah.
And they usually are. You know, they're just like, they're just old nerds. Yeah, they're just big nerds.
Yep.
Cool. Well,
one day we'll be the big nerds.
Yeah, one day we'll be the big nerds.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for going to Gen Con, being the boots on the ground reporting correspondent.
Yeah, I did it all for you.
It was all for you. And the great thing is, he's
it's really funny because
not with us. He won't write it off with us, you know.
Yeah, when Nick pitched me the idea for this episode yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I did go to Gen Con, and I guess we could talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I'll have enough to talk about. All I did was this, and this, and I was like, okay, I have things to talk about.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, As always, thank you for listening to Tabletopped. If you want more conversations like this, then please come back every Monday. Right now, we're doing every other Monday into the fall. And so you can subscribe. You can, if you're on YouTube, hit that little follow bell or whatever it is. And if you want to be part of the podcast in other ways, you can either go to our website, tabletopppod.com, and you can send us a message. We'd love to get your ideas of what we should talk about, topics, or just things that you want us to know about the podcast. We read all of your comments. And otherwise, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/tabletopped. That is where you can get extra content like the module / game that Franco and I developed. We also have a bunch of extra episodes. We have some supplements for your games. All that kind of stuff is there. So go check that out if you're interested. All right, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.